Hello folks, welcome back to the channel. Thank you very much for joining me once again. You are always most welcome. Today then, something I'm quite looking forward to actually, but I've had such a manic couple of months since February on the channel. Much busier than I expected. I was telling everybody I'm going to be taking a break and It still hasn't happened, but it is coming. I think there will be a break sort of sometime around May time, I think. Anyway, this is an interesting one because this is actually loaned to the channel. It's the Zoukei Mura F-4EJ Japanese Phantom, the Kai Phantom 2, and it's the Phantom Forever 2020 scheme, the last sort of year of the Phantom really, I think, in Japan. So, Zoukei Mura Super Wing Series number 11, 48 scale. These Phantoms are always absolutely brilliant. But this is loaned to the channel by a good friend of us, David Mummery. And he actually bought this when he was with me at the Nantwich Universal Model Show back in 23rd of Feb, I think it was. And he picked it up, it was a bargain price. It's not quite mint, the box, but it was a bargain price from one of the traders there. I think he picked it up for about mid-50s, I think it was, from memory. And I said to him, that's not bad, you know, for a Zoukei Mura, that's pretty good. Good price, good price. So, what have we got? Well, on the side, let's zoom you in. By the way, I'm going to open the bags. The bags, he said, yeah, just open the bags, no problem. I'll probably have to maybe reseal them for him or something. But we're going to have a good look at this, proper look. And he picked himself up something that was a significant super buy, really. And there's some great detail, as you can see. We've got a lot of canopy and cockpit detail, nose, some fantastic graphics, obviously, that comes with this in terms of decals. Several different options in terms of, I think, the stores, and then some. I've got to just compliment Zoukei Mura on these photographs, because some manufacturers put CAD renderings, which I absolutely detest, and they look absolutely blooming awful. They don't really relate to what you're going to see with your own eyes, but they do this properly. They actually have the model built by some obviously brilliant genius of a model builder. He's done a lovely job at the look of it, and that's what you want to see. You want to see on the box what it will look like if you get on your A game, not some computer generated cartoon nonsense, you know. Anyway, let's have a look inside without further ado. I'm not going to drag my feet on this one because David probably thinks I've sold it on eBay, because it's already 2 months since we were at the show, and it's just that Matchbox March was so crazy. What was that? 14 shows? Was it 13 shows? I think it was. And then we had the FX Jag and all this other thing. Everything came at the same time, really. It all came in at once. So let's have a look at what Zoukei Mura, the masters, really, one of the very best model manufacturers there are, in my opinion. Ooh, there's a lot of plastic in here. Gosh, for mid-50s, he's got a bargain here. I think he paid 55 for it, something like that. Wow, there's quite a few bags I'm going to have to open, but the look of it, you might have to bear with me. Oh, careful. Gosh, there is a lot of it. Jeez. Nice stout box though, I like that. Proper, like a double fluted box to give it straight, which we'll pop over here, just out of the way. Ooh, I think I'm going to like this one. I think I'm going to enjoy it. I'm wearing a jacket this morning, because it is morning when I'm filming this, and it's actually we've got beautiful, a lot of high pressure weather, and lots of sunshine, but it ain't warm. It's blooming freezing, and I had to defrost the wife's car overnight. What's this? Oh, got a bonus extra. Did you know this? Look at this you get in the set. It's a special commemoration of the 301 Squadron. It looks like they're called the Frogs or the Froglets. Look at this. You get a froggy badge, a big badge with it. How about that? That's cool, isn't it? A little bit of an extra. Thank you, Phantom, 1971 to 2020. Isn't that nice? I'll put that to one side. Put it safely in the box. Very nice. Oh, there's more than one. There's 2 of them. Really? Yeah, there's a second one. There's actually a pair of them. A pair of badges. Oh, I should keep one. Oh, I think I'll keep one. No, I'm only joking. There's 2 in the box. How about that? 2 for the price of one. I wonder if that was intentional. Right, let's have a look at what they say. Now, Zoukei Mura, let's face it, when it comes to instructions, when it comes to the instructions, they tend to be, frankly, the kings, even above Tamiya. They just don't hold back with their research and data. And they're pretty good, let's be honest, they're pretty impressive. So let's see what we have here. So it's a tape bag. I've not seen one of these Phantoms before, so I'm quite looking forward to this. Okay, we've got a bit of a... First of all, no, I lie, I have seen them on the... Was it the E? The American version of the E, I think I did see it. I think that was David's as well. Sorry, my memory's gone. Beautiful colour sheet, printed sheet here, showing you all their other products, including the Henschel 129, which we've reviewed, I think. Pretty sure we have. The Dornier DO3355, which we definitely reviewed. The Sky Raider, which we definitely reviewed. Quite a few that we've done actually. And the E, that was the one I reviewed, wasn't it? The E early version of the Phantom. So this is going to be kind of similar in many ways, but obviously it's the Japanese version. No, I'm wrong. It was the D. I beg your pardon. You see, I'm just getting old. My memory's going. It was the D. That was the one we actually did the review. I remember it now from the artwork. Yeah. So it was the D, not the E. So that it is different then. So I'm quite pleased about that because we can look at it in detail without having any duplications. Well, not from me anyway. HO229. Very nice. I've done that one as well. As well, we have epic looking decals. We've got this lovely colour call out sheet. I'll have to zoom you back for this, I think. Get the benefit of this. Again, very Tamiya style, isn't it? The F-4EJ Kai, as they call it. Just one problem with this kit, and it's nothing to do really with Zoukei Mura. It's to do with Phantoms generally. We all know, you know what I'm going to say. Look at the number of stencils on this kit. It's absolutely crazy. Oh lordy. This is going to give you a migraine. Watch this. I'm going to zoom in a bit closer to get a closer look at this. Now, the less experienced amongst you, just look away now. Just don't put the stencils on his mind. This is going to give you brain ache like you've never encountered with any other model. Everything is completely accurately replicated, so every single stencil is here. Excuse me. When you turn it over, oh my stars! I mean, look at it. It's like it's got the measles. I do wonder why they felt the need to have that many stencils on an aircraft, really, because it's clearly, you know, nothing comes close, does it, to the Phantom for stencil data. I mean, that is just... Oh, I feel quite giddy. I almost feel ill, to be honest. Anyway, whether you choose to put every stencil on, the problem is with, you know, when you've got this much. I know some of the expert models often say put the stencils on first and then clear coat it again to sort of seal them down, because there's so many you can... I mean, how long, joking apart though, how long is it going to take you to do the stencils? I think this is almost like 2 or 3 days work, maybe a week's work, you know. When you look at the number, how many have we got? I've jokingly said 500, I think that's perhaps an exaggeration, but we've got 300 going up to 290 decals, you know, and that's not including the main markings. Oh no, 331. Oh, 331. Any offers above 331? I mean, that is just unreal, isn't it? Actually, 331, 325. I think 331 is the highest number I can see. Anyway, just be advised. There's nothing wrong with this. There's nothing wrong with the kit because of that. That's just a Phantom for you. So you've been warned. You've been warned. I did try to tell you. I would personally just take a view on it. I really would. And it's on very dark background in some of the decals are very dark. So you're going to really struggle to see them actually. So I do question the value of whether you need to put them on. I'm not criticising Zoukei Mura for including them at all. They've gone the extra mile, but just don't... I've talked about this in the past. Let's have a look at them actually. Don't feel obliged, because they're there, you know, it's like Everest. Just because it's there, everybody doesn't have to climb Mount Everest. You don't. I mean, when you look at this, as I say, we say 331 decals. Now this is just the stencil sheet. This isn't the main decals. You've obviously got a couple where you have got the Japanese the Japanese meatballs have got their stencils over the top. They do have a proper name, don't they? But I always forget. Should call them meatballs. It sounds a bit irreverent. So. But you've got some lovely detail here with the just where my thumb is, the instrumentation and the cockpit switches. Yeah, there's not a lot of screens. You can see it's the earlier edition of the Phantoms. Well, it's not an early edition of the Phantom. It's an earlier time, shall we say, when we didn't have TFT screens everywhere. A lot of analog instrumentation controls, you know, altimeter and things like that. But just look at this stuff going on and on and on and on. I mean, it does make you feel a bit giddy, doesn't it, really? I've never actually done a big Phantom, and I think this is probably the reason why I've always shied away from it, really. Anyway, that's your that is your stencil sheet. I mean, no wonder they were giving it away cheap. People probably open the box and think, look at this, what fantastic quality, and then they see this and they go, oh, oh, ouch. Now look at this, is the main decals now, and these are absolutely gorgeous. Just look at this, the Phantom Forever decal sheet for the Japanese, the final hurrah of the Phantom. Aren't they nice? Aren't they nice? Phantom Forever. Yeah. And the quality of the Zoukei Mura decals is very, very fine indeed. It's probably better than Tamiya, in fairness. Thank you, Phantom, it says. See it there? Thank you, Phantom. Shark's mouth, it's got everything. It's got eagle eyes, it's got a shark's mouth. Really nice, really nice. You've got all your intake warning danger stickers here. Stickers, I should say, decals from there. There you go. I mean, it's a beautiful, beautiful set of decals. That I have no problem with, that sheet. The other one, yeah, just be advised, it may challenge your mental health just a little, to be honest. I mean, you've got to be on your A game to put 331 stencils on, haven't you, really? Yeah, 331 is the last one. You've got slime bars there, slime lights. I missed those actually. You can see, if you look just below those slime lights, you can actually see the number 331. So you know I'm not exaggerating. Anyway, there's your slime bar lights. So let's have a look at the instructions and see what we got then. Just be advised, it should come with a sort of public health warning. Any big Phantom should come with a health warning from any manufacturer saying, you do know, don't you, that this is the aircraft that had the most stencils on it of all. Any combat aircraft. Pretty sure that's true. So let's have a look then. Now, this is where they really do come into their own. Zoukei Mura are the kings of this, aren't they? So we've got a nice box art, nice photograph of the finished kit, always done superbly. Gives you all the information. Power, engines, GE J79 engines, afterburner engines. It's got 20mm cannon. Of course, the early Phantoms, they didn't have that, which was a bit of a mistake, wasn't it? Air-to-air missiles, etc., etc. And then quite a lot of it's in, some of it's in Japanese on the left-hand side. But they do it right, these guys. They give you Japanese on the left and you give it on the right. It's all in English, so you've got a massive history, which could take us some time. I'm not going to read it all because it really is a lot of it there. That's basically 4 pages of A4, maybe more. For the purposes of the review, yeah, I won't read it all out. I'll just read you the first little paragraph, that's all. The F-4 is a carrier-based all-weather twin-engine fighter jet developed by the American company McDonnell Douglas, wasn't it, later? First of the kind developed for the US Navy. It's famous for being easy to fly aircraft and known for its high weapon carriage capability. Later it was reborn as a land-based aircraft for the US Air Force and then other air forces including the UK and Greece and Japan, etc., etc. And it was extensively used in the Vietnam War. The F-4 evolved into the F-4E, the first F-4 variant with fixed cannons rather than a Vulcan gun pod. Right, I hadn't fully appreciated that, okay. and it was deployed for service from the start of November 68. A total of 1,378 of these F-4Es were produced. Of those, 428 were deployed overseas to countries all over the world as export fighters. The aircraft was active worldwide for a long time. So the British never bought this one, I have to say, but it was very popular in Japan. I think South Korea had some as well. Anyway, there you go. So let's have a look at, I won't read all of it because it just goes into incredible detail, which is very good. I'm not moaning at all. Brilliant. I love the way they do it, Zoukei Mura. Okay, so over here we've got try out different positions. You've got air brakes. It shows all the options here. So this is their instructions and the clarity are beyond reproach. Look at this. So it shows you all the things you can have different. You've got opening canopy or closed, pylons and launches options, front strut extended or contracted, landing flaps, air brakes, drop tanks, closed exhaust nozzles or open, flap ailerons, flaps and ailerons lowered, and raised or lowered horizontal stabilisers. So there's lots of options in it, isn't there? It tells you about the armament. Wow, there's a lot of detail. I mean, you could spend a whole evening reading this stuff. So, start off building up your ejection seats, which looked, they've got the pull hoops for the ejection on the top, which look really detailed, I have to say. Then we're going to build up all our sort of internals of the cockpit. And again, they give this beautiful data about what the paint should be. Take note, border model, who don't provide any of this. You muppets, honestly. Then they go on to say exactly what it should look like, the bottom view, which is what is so good. And Airfix have now adopted this to a degree as well, telling you what it should look like after you've completed it, which is each section, which is brilliant. Going on to build up the bulkheads of all the instrumentation and all the colouring that's required there internally. Then you've got all your switch gear and controls. There's obviously there's some decals to go in here. Very detailed, isn't it, for a 48 scale Phantom? It's brilliant. And it shows all the decal numbers here. They don't leave any stone unturned in trying to help you. Rear seat instrument panel, complete with the stick, and you've got your cockpit canopy frame, or the base frame, shall we say. Again, top view, left view, side view, every view. It leaves you in no doubts whatsoever how it should look and how it should fit in. And again, you're not left just guessing. Cue a rant about the Sea Harrier and others. Yeah, well, there's none of this showing a part, it's floating in space, and then an arrow that doesn't go anywhere. The arrow doesn't just goes away towards the next frame or towards the fuselage, but doesn't say where on the fuselage. These guys tell you exactly what it should look like as soon as you've completed that stage, so you can keep cross-checking. And then it says here, check that the assembly left and right panels are fitting without any gaps and da-da-da. Constantly sort of saying, look, just check this, yes, you've got it, go on to the next stage. Not like kinetic, where it's just like, it's a bit like Inspector Montalbano, isn't it? It's like, here's an undercarriage, here's a rocket, where it goes, I'll leave it to you to decide. Now, there's none of that here. They're gonna tell you exactly what the score is, yeah? Sorry, I wasn't being nasty about Inspector Montalbano, I like that show. But there's a lot of vague communication in it, yeah? My wife will be laughing, she's a big fan of Inspector Montalbano. She thinks I look a bit like him. Not at the moment, though, not with my colour sergeant born whiskers. I look more like a Victorian British Army officer. Well, a sergeant perhaps. Maybe not good enough for an officer. Anyway, here we go. So we're doing all the cockpit side detail. There's all manner of stuff actually. But it does tell you what they are. You see again here, exactly what I'm always crying and moaning about. It's here, isn't it? They're actually giving you a list here of what each part actually is. See that? So it's got intake strake, circuit breaker. I mean, nobody really, even Tamiya, don't quite go to this level of detail. And it's part of the fun. You're thinking, oh, that's interesting. Oh, I didn't know that. all of these subtle parts in this aircraft, and we get to learn about all of them. Here's the configuration after assembly, showing how it should look, you know. Brilliant. They're the best, aren't they, at this? Now then we've got this fuselage upper panel where they have these cut out separate inserts which go in to avoid any seam line, of course, which is brilliant on this design of model. We've got over here, we've got the nose cone coming in, which of course does house a radar, but they don't seem to feature it, unfortunately. I think it has a radar, doesn't it? And then we've got, okay, so we've got the 20, I didn't appreciate this. The 20mm cannon, I'm just referring to the, okay. I didn't fully understand that was a 20mm cannon under the nose, because I'm not that familiar with the aircraft. So it's basically an electric cannon like the Vulcan cannon, and they've installed it under the nose instead of having it in a pod separately. And then you've got all your cooling and ejection systems here, and there's a shroud that goes around it at the front. And again, they leave you in no doubt what it should look like, how it should all fit together, what the final view should be. Got your pitot going on there. I'm not sure I put that pitot on at this stage though, guys. I would maybe just leave that off, that part, until the end. Make it one of your very last parts to go on. But again, look at the descriptions here, the listing. Pitot, Vulcan barrel, M24. Ram air intake, Vulcan barrel fairing, gas purge intake, M21. So you've got M21 there on the top. Whoops, where have I gone? I seem to have lost myself. Sorry, M20. So it's got a purge system. So it's got an intake on the top, and then there's another. There's these other ones further back where it basically vents out the back, essentially. And it looks fantastic, you know. It looks fantastic. So what I wonder though is, looking at this fairing, does that fairing eject when they actually use it? Because it doesn't look like it's got an opening. Or does it? Oh yes, it does. Okay, so there is a barrel opening, like a muzzle at the bottom of it. So the thing spins and spins, a bit like an A10, isn't it? In some respects, when you look at it like that, spins round, but only the bottom. Don't forget, only the bottom barrel will be firing, not all of them at the same time, because it's a rotating system. And then you got your vertical fin here. Zoom back slightly. I think I'm a bit too zoomed here. Your vertical fin here. And your tail cap, which of course will contain a parachute normally, I think. I don't know whether they use them on these, but they often contain a parachute. And then we've got your JE, what is it? The JE79, isn't it? JE79 engine. I'm still too zoomed here. JE79 engine here. And they do these beautifully. You know, they always look really, really good, don't they? And they give you, once again, they give you this beautiful exhibition stand, so you can have the engine out on the stand. So obviously you've got the option of showing it removed, which is cool. Over here we've got some holes you need to open up for the various stores, depending on which setup you're going to go for, of course. If you want underwing drop tanks, then you certainly do need to pylons and underwing drop tanks. They're going to have to be drilled out. Then we've got the air ducts or trunking for the engine intakes. Something I've got to say, which was, I didn't pick up on it at the time, I'm just going to add this. I don't want to be retrospectively changing my reviews, but it was something that I think somebody did actually mention it to me and said, oh, there's no trunking in the Jaguar from Airfix. And I don't think there was there? I don't recall there was, but anyway. There's certainly plenty of it here. And they've got quite an intricate and detailed structure there, in fairness. Very accurate, isn't it? And then you've got the placement of your J79 engines coming in here. And again, it shows the angle is very critical, so it shows the angle, how they have this downward slope to them, which is very noticeable there, isn't it? Especially at the rear view. And then you're going to build up, bring your main wing, the top wing down onto the main wing assembly. And you're going to start with your gear bays, and then you're going to repeat the process on the opposite side. And then you've got your nose landing gear door actuator system. Looks again very, very detailed. Parts configuration after assembly. You know, I mean, board and model really need to go back to school and just learn to the school of Zoukei Mura and learn how to do it by reading these, don't they? I'm sorry I bang on about board. I think they make some exquisite plastic, but their instructions are woeful, in my opinion. Them and Kinetic, terrible, terrible. Anyway, actually, Ryefield aren't that much better in the instructions department either. They're another one. Anyway, fuselage and main wings, all coming together now. So it's turning into a phantom right before your eyes now. And then again, showing the parts configuration, how it should look after assembly. It does look quite odd, to be honest, doesn't it? Because you haven't got your... Makes it look very strange because you've got no flaps or slats in place. So the wings look tiny. Makes it look like a voodoo almost, doesn't it, actually? And then you've got your air intakes coming in here. And of course they have these... This part M7 is the baffles, the baffle deflectors, which reduce they reduce the airspeed, don't they? And they reduce any sort of sonic boom or effects of. I think it's partly to do with moderating the air going into the engines and slowing it down, essentially, for the benefit of the engine. Then we've got those coming in here, right side, left side. Very nicely done. And then here we go, out the back now, and we've got the whole area here where the plating is, the heat shield plating around the engines. And I have heard stories about this where people have said be very careful with these because you clip the engines in afterwards. In terms of the pipes, I mean, sorry, not the engines are already in there, but the actual jet pipes, which you do next, can be a little bit tricky on the fit, I believe, around here. So just make sure you do plenty of dry fitting. Don't just go steaming in with the glue, because I know that some people did have issues with this. I read a couple of reports actually where getting it without a gap was a little bit tricky, and it requires test fitting and practice. So then you've got your option of your jet nozzles open or jet nozzles closed, like the afterburners are on full, and then it shows you clearly what it should look like afterwards, whether it's open or closed. And then we get into the flaps at the back of the wing, and then the ailerons, and again you've got the options of whether you have them down, flaps down, landing position, as per here, lowered. And again, left in no doubt what it should look like. These are fantastic instructions, I must say, especially on a kit of this price. Here we've got the wingtips. These are obviously the raised, the anhedral section, the tip of the wing. And on there is a... oh, I'm sorry, that's the... yeah, the outer wing leading edge flap. So they have a little tiny leading edge flap. Didn't appreciate that actually. On the outer wing section as well as on the main wing section, as you can see there. Incredible. Such detail. It's a brilliant job of this, haven't they? And then here we go. This is the option when you've got them lowered. So they're really down at a strange angle, obviously. And it shows the angles and what they should look like. Look at this. I mean, these are just the most professional instructions for a Phantom, aren't they? No question. Nothing else comes close. Not even Tamiya, and theirs is excellent. And then we've got your great big chunky tail arrestor hook, showing again the position, how it should look like from either side, from the view, side view or the rear view. Then we've got our tail planes coming in here. All moving tail planes obviously on the Phantom, and then you've got the option again of having them straight or having them in the landing position, facing down, and you can actually facing up, deflected up, upward deflection. So you've got three choices. Look at that! Wow, what fantastic instructions there! And the stabiliser lever has 3 different positions, so there's, I think, 3 different options. Yeah, there's actually 3 different parts, so you do have to decide in advance. Then you got your nose landing gear. Obviously it has an extended leg for carrier use. And then the front door for the front landing gear as well. Then the actual landing gear door itself, the main door, which opens to the side. Absolutely brilliant. And then we get into the main landing gear itself with the tyres and wheels and legs. Beefy and short on the Phantom, isn't it, really? Very beefy though. Yeah. I don't think they had a lot of leg failures on these because they were so huge. And again, it shows all the different views. Left wing, right wing. And then the doors themselves for the landing gear, how they should look and how they should be positioned. Shows all the angles here. Front view and side view. And then finally gives you this clear impression of what the angles should look like when all the front and the main gear are all in place. Temperature sensor pods. Gosh, here we go. Some detail here. Incredible. And then the air brakes, underwing air brakes. Well, under fuselage, aren't they, really? Yeah, quite big meaty ones on the Phantom, obviously. And then if you've got the air brakes closed, you've got a different option there. And then we get to the actually putting your ejector seats in. Looks like we don't have any pilots, or do we? Do we have pilots? I didn't see any. Don't think we have any pilots. Actually, it's a bit of a shame. That's a slight disappointment there. And then you've got the sort of combing on top of the instrumentation panel. Your 2 ejector seats coming in here, and then we've got the canopy closed option. Showing all the framework, the interframing, and then if you wanted open, completely different parts, and you're going to have, it puts little mirrors on there. It's got no mirrors on it. Oh yeah, it has got the mirrors, sorry. It's got the mirrors on both. There's the mirrors when it's closed. Just more obvious that I noticed it there when it's open. And then you end up with this, obviously the hydraulic actuators holding it open, front and rear. Gives you advice, by the way, about cutting off. Obviously they use these ejector pin lugs on Zoukei Mura, which I think work very well, but you've got to be, it does mean there's a lot of them, especially on the clear parts. You've got to be very, very careful. Be careful not to damage any parts, it says. And then you've got your central drop tank option, and then your wing tanks. Actually, the wing tanks look pretty much the same as the ones that the RAF used, actually, on the F-4M FGR2. And then you've got your pylons here for a number of different options. Do you actually get the rockets or not? Don't see any actual weapons. Oh, that's disappointing. Oh, I might have a grumble about this. I might have found something to grumble about. So you've got these beautiful pylons with such incredible detail on them, but there's no actual rockets. They are devoid of any munitions, it seems. And that really goes into fantastic detail, but ultimately with no weapon on, which leaves any small boy, even one that's in their midlife crisis like me, rather disappointed. How could they? How could you? How could you? And anyway, you get nice ladders, a bit like the Matchbox, but a little bit better. Yeah, that's cool. And then that's it. Putting the ladder in, crew access ladder is the last section, and that's it. You built your Phantom. Well, I'm completely blown away by the quality. I'm totally blown away by the instruction standards. Fantastic. Just a bit disappointed there's no rockets, and there are some rockets here. I missed something. I can see them on the sprue. Where were the rockets then? Is there a separate sheet for them or something? Because I can't see it. They're on the sprue, so they do provide you with rockets. It just doesn't show any. How curious. That's not like Zoukei Mura to omit something from their instructions. Right, okay, let's put this away. So I'm obviously worrying about nothing. It's just maybe it's a bit of bad communication. Zoukei Mura, bad communication. Saying that's like saying building matchbox kits from the 1970s. Can't say that. It's not allowed. It's illegal. Right, let's very carefully put these back for David. There we go. So then, well, I can tell you there's definitely some sidewinders. There's sidewinders, at least 2 of them. In fact, there's the sidewinders, there's what looks like sparrow or similar. There's definitely weapons, so I don't know why they've omitted them from the instructions. Very curious. We'll start with that. Why don't we? I've just realised that those. Please bear with me because remember it's not mine. We need to put that back in now, I think. Get that back in here safely without getting the tape damaging anything. There we go, all done. Very impressive. Right, so we've got 2 there that are duplicates. That's standalone. Any duplicates? Just checking. Yeah, right, okay. So, as I've just banged on about moaning about rockets that didn't exist, but they do exist, why don't we have a go at those? And you're going to have to bear with me because Zoukei Mura are not the best at giving you. They're like the opposite of airfix. They don't give you quite enough bag. So if you don't cut it super accurately and take your time, so you have to bear with me here, then I'm afraid you can get into a whole pile of pain at the end because you can't get it back in. Right, here we go. We're starting off with what was basically at the end of the instructions, obviously in reverse order. Now you can see what I was talking about here. There clearly are beautiful looking sidewinders, so I don't know why they didn't mention them. Very odd. It's almost like they didn't realise they were going to include it on the sprue. But you can clearly see there, got some air-to-air missiles here. Forgive me because it doesn't mention them in the instructions. They're almost in one piece though. Those are beautifully moulded. So I don't know why they weren't mentioned. And then you've got your sidewinders here, which look absolutely fine, to be honest. They're really nice. So yeah, we're okay. We have got some weapons. And then we've got our beautiful, almost matchbox-like, but a little bit better, more or less, ladder, tree ladder, complete with ejector pin lug, which you need to cut off very carefully. And then, of course, you've got all the fins for your air-to-air missiles here. Yes. Okay. That was nice. And very reassuring to see some weapons. Right, there's 2 of those, so we'll pop those away. Move one away. Sorry, I've just realised. I'm saying there's 2, but we also have a second. It's not the same sprue. So it's a little bit confusing actually the way they've done it. It's not quite the same sprue, so bear with me a second. Sorry, and let's just zoom you out so you see what's going on. I thought they were just the same, and in fact this is a duplicate sprue, but a different duplicate, and this has got the main drop tanks on it for the wings. So we need to look at those, which is the one I'm just about to cut open here. Okay, got a nice new blade today. No more of that hacking away nonsense that we had a few weeks ago. Yeah, I was getting a bit frustrated with that. So. Here we are. We've got our main drop tanks, which I say look very like the ones that the Royal Air Force used actually. So I don't know if these come as standard issue with the aircraft. I think it's about 600 gallons, was it? I can't remember now. And then again you get another repeat of these air-to-air missiles with your sidewinder. It's a late model sidewinder. Is that the sidewinder Q? Looks like quite a modern one. It's not an L, is it? And then you've got your AMRAAMs here. Yes, so very nice. A bit better. Nothing wrong with any of that. Very, very nice sprue indeed. So we've got that one. Then we've got some other drop tanks, which I will show you. It's the main centerline big drop tank. pop that back in there. Yeah, that might be a chance to reseal. I say that Zoukei Mura are not very generous with the bag, unfortunately. Some bags are better than others, but often a bit stingy. That said, when I say stingy, it's probably better for your kit though. You don't want it rattling around the bag like some of these Airfix ones do. It's like a blooming great wheelie bin bag they put it in on there. Slight exaggeration, but not far off. Certainly oversized for what's required, you know what I mean? Right, so yes, we've got two different types here of centerline tank, I think this is. We've got the one that's got the little fin at the back here. And it has the very central mounting. And then we've got the one that's, the mounting is slightly, it's got more of like a top shark fin almost looks like a submarine, doesn't it? Like a mini sub. Interesting. Then we've got our tail cap for the rear of the fuselage there. Get a bit closer, I think. There we go. That's the rear fuselage cap. We've got our arrestor hook. Big and beefy, isn't it, on this aircraft? You've also got your nose leg there for your nose gear. Wow. Yeah, that's a nice sprue actually. I like that. And as we're starting at the sort of wrong end of the aircraft, we might as well carry on to the next one, which is yet more things, but it's pylons really. The pylons. Did I miss something in that? I just can't understand those instructions. Which is something I've never said about Zoukei Mura before. I just... it's almost like they got printed off when they hadn't quite been finished, like there was another sheet, another page to come with all the showing the loadout options, and it didn't do it, which is very odd. Oh, we've got a bag here that seems to be open already where the seals burst. Okay, we'll do that one. So this is the flaps basically. There we go. So this is all your main flaps. That's a nice bit of detail there, isn't there? Those are cool. See how they do the ejector pin thing? They don't have many. They do on the back of the flaps, obviously, but they do have a lot of these little lugs. In this case, of course, when you've got two parts, two halves, they can just put them in the conventional places and just have a fairly conventional ejector pin setup there. To be fair, that's that one, which had worked its way out of its bag strangely that way. Then over here we've got this sprue, which has got a lot of other items, including some jammer pods. Is that an ANLQ pod I think I see before me? Or is it a dagger? Let's have a look. I mean, these are beautifully formed. Look at this. These are gorgeous. So there's your pods I was referring to. Yeah. Nice, aren't they? Really detailed, yeah. Some of these gorgeous. They're in two halves, and then you've got some, again, very detailed pylons. And you've got what looks like a load of sway braces here. Is that what they are? I think it is. And then you've got these, the kind of pallets or trees for the actual weapons that go on the pylon itself. And again, you can see the extensive use of these little lugs, the ejector pin lugs there, here, and here, and here. So you've got to cut those all off. Well, the little rails are beautifully formed, aren't they? Those rails, look at that. So they've really gone the extra detail, the extra mile with the detail on these pylons and rails and things. That's gorgeous, that is. Fantastic. So, I think David's got himself a real bargain with this kit, hasn't he? For sure. No question about it. Okay, now then. This has got no clearance one way, but there's a little room on the other side. So do it there, I think. We'll do a side cut on this one. Slightly different approach. They don't make it easy, do they? Well, they can't do like Ryefield or whoops or ICL in the sealable bag actually. The Japanese don't seem to like these resealable bags, do they? Because Tamiya don't do them either for some reason. They go in for the dreaded staples, you know. Right. Oh, look at the detail on this nose. This is fantastic. Oh yes, I like this one. So you've got the tail, top tail detail there, the sensors and lights. Is it sensors? And then there's an alternative tail cap here as well, isn't there, at the end here, next to my finger. Interestingly. Got some beautiful instrumentation. Look at these. Oh, those are nice. Now, this is interesting. So they've got a lot of actual raised detail here. Beautiful moulding on the instruments, but they had a decal for that. So I know a lot of us would prefer the instruments to be moulded like you see here. But it's a bit of a compromise there. And the two things are sort of, aren't they mutually exclusive? You're going to need to, probably to use the decal, you're going to have to rub it down or get a blade on it and take it down flat, aren't you? Not sure about the wisdom of that, but look at this nose. It's got these lovely strakes in it. Can you see those? There we go. That's nice, isn't it? That nose. Absolutely amazing. Yes, that's some. I love that instrumentation though. That with the sort of analog instruments and the radar on the right. They've done that beautifully. Yeah, we like that. That is cool. Okay, so it's a bit strange that they've sort of. It's almost like they haven't decided. I didn't really read in detail what it said in the instructions. I might have to go back and have a look at what it says in the instructions. But I suspect you're going to have to do some trimming to take the raised detail of those switches down a bit. Oh, there's a second nose option. I'm wondering which one is which now. Which is it? Is it? Not sure now, actually. So I zoomed in image of it. The J seems to have quite a smooth nose. So I think that this one I'm about to show you is probably the more germane. There's obviously some of the sprue trees which are kind of generic between the models. A bit of an overlap and some parts you won't use, which we didn't really get into, did we? I'm going to go down the side again here, folks. Just bear with me a second. So much easier when you've got a sharp knife. Look at that, straight through it, no problem. So I do think this is the nose you're going to use. Excuse me. Actually, I think yeah. And then you've also got these lovely baffles for the intake, air intake walls there. So yeah, you can see you've got it. Yeah, you can see. So start with the nose. I'm getting a bit lost here. So here's the nose. So this time you can see it's a smoother nose. It hasn't got the strakes on it. I think this is the nose you're probably going to use, actually. And then you've got your air intakes, baffles. The baffles themselves are here, of course. Little holes in it. Isn't that nice? And again on the other side there. Yes. Then you've got this is your sort of air conditioning vents behind the cockpit. And then lots and lots of tiny parts. I think that's the pitot head, which I say you want to leave that till the end if I were you folks. Don't be putting that on prematurely despite what they said in the instructions. Probably not a good idea, best left till later I think. And then you've got your cockpit wall here. Plenty of detail. Plenty of detail there. Yeah, it's a nice sprue, isn't it? Gorgeous. Of course, the other side is that's the gear bay underneath. Wow. Yeah, I like that. You can't fault their injection molding at all. Brilliant. And again, you know, you've got these things like, you've got those couple of them where you've got an ejector lug sort of on a stalk when you're trying to get it away from the part. They're always trying their best to avoid ejector pins, which we applaud. We definitely applaud here at the modelling lab. Just trying to see if there's any more smaller ones. Oh, okay. We've got yet more detail of the cockpit. Okay, yeah. Oh, nice. Look at this. Some fabulous detail here. You've got the ejector pin. Sorry, the ejector seat, I should say. Pull handles here, look. Oh, yes. Pull cables. Somebody, was it Skeleton? One of the guys on YouTube that builds fantastic models, he was showing how you can actually do the yellow and black by intertwining some wire. It was quite clever. It sounded ridiculous, but when you saw the finished effect, was absolutely brilliant. To give you your yellow and black ejector handles. More detail here. This is the other side wall, cockpit side wall, the other side, and then a little bit more detail still. I think this is in the bay, isn't it? I think it's the gear bay. And then we've got our ejector seats themselves over here. Maybe a bit less zoom. It's going to there we are. And then you've got the seat cushion itself, and then the backing plate, the back cushion, I should say. And then you've got your wonderful cockpit canopy frame base. Yeah, very nice. Nothing wrong there, is there? That's really lovely, super sprue. Excellent. You know, you look at them and you just think, yeah, I'd quite like to build this. You know, yeah, I can see why he's bought himself a Phantom. David's a bit like me sometimes, though. He seems to buys a lot of kits, and beautiful kits. But he seems to be like me in that he seems to spend quite a bit of it. It's not a criticism, it's just something I've noticed. But he seems to have wonderful kits in his stash, and then he seems to actually spend his time. Well, there's more building than I do, so I shouldn't be. I'm not taking the mickey, quite the opposite. I should copy him perhaps. But he does spend a lot of time building the less good ones, like a challenge. A bit like me with the Sea Harrier. Oh, that's a duplication, we've seen that one already. There's a lot of sidewind, isn't there? Okay, there's obviously at least 6 in the set. Yeah, I'm just saying, but David, he just seems to. It's like masochism, a bit like me. He sort of, instead of going and building the best ones, he seems to build some of the really tricky ones, and then he has a lot of bit of frustration with them, which is exactly what I've been doing the last couple of years. You know, with Zero and Sea Harriers. And... Well, right now I can't complain anymore. I've got my Mosquito. Right, look at this. Oh, we've got the all-moving tailplane here, and you can see what I was talking about, the ejector pin lugs that the Zoukei Mura use, how they've applied them here to avoid any ejector pins because it's on a two-sided piece. So they really wanted to have no ejector pins, obviously, so they have those little lugs just off the leading edge there, which you just very carefully need to snip off. And that's the way it's done, you know. That's the way you get around the ejector pin problem. Here we've got the top spine on the back of down the spine of the aircraft. A couple of very impressive looking pylons there. And we've got some lovely, very small parts here. many small parts in fact, including some more rails, weapons rails. The Ordnance, that's your combing, that's the back of the canopy, behind the canopy. Looks like it's, I think that's the nose. Is that the main gear or the nose gear wheels? I'm not quite sure actually. Top of my head. But no, they've done them nice, haven't they? They've really done a good job there. Those pylons are two-sided, by the way. And again, they've got, you can tell because they've got the ejector lugs on. That's always a clue. If you see a part, you almost don't need to turn it over. If you see ejector pin lugs, it means that it's a two-sided part, because that's why they put the lug on, to avoid pushing it out of the mould in a way that would impact on the quality or appearance. Nice, isn't it? The trouble is, it's been a bit reluctant. I think it's actually wearing out, to be truthful. Might have to invest in a new one soon. The trouble is, it's not as easy as that. They're actually quite hard to get hold of. That one, wireless remote control. Probably going to cost an absolute fortune. Right, we've got some really big parts. Why don't we have a look at the... we'll go with the clear parts at the end. Trying to decide which end to open. I think we'll go with this end. A little bit awkward actually, to be honest. Okay. Ooh. So it's striking how long the nose is on these E models, isn't it? Because it is, you know, double the length of the normal nose at the front. Isn't it beautifully moulded, this? Look at that detail there. So subtle as well, the panels, all the little hatches. Fine riveting. Lovely panels, aren't they? Look at that, and then you've got moulded in. You've got your heat shield behind where the engines are that protects the lower tail, and they've done that really nicely. And the tail itself, and again, look at the way they've done the little ejector pin lug on the tail. Look. I'm not sure why they did that actually, because this is not a two-sided tail. They could have just put ejector pins on the inside, which you'd never be seen. Anyway, then you've got your intakes at the front, which are equally beautifully sculptured. Very, very nice. Just look at them on the side angle. And then these little sort of crescent-shaped rings are the surround for the afterburner jet pipes. Jet pipes, I should say. Looking on the other port side of the fuselage. That's very nice, isn't it? Yes. Done that very, very nicely. Look at that. They're beautiful kits, these Zoukei Muras, aren't they? They really are masters of their art. I think so. I think that they are one of the best manufacturers in the world. Yeah, it's just strange that they didn't mention any missiles. Makes me think, surely it's me. It must be me. I'm going to go back and just re-study when the video's done. I'll have another look at them just to make sure I didn't miss a step or a page or something. It seems very odd. It's completely out of character for them to do something like that. Right, so, just bear with me 1 second. We are coming to the end, so we've now got the main wing section, upper and lower wings. I do think the Zoukei Mura ceiling of their bags is a little bit, if I'm honest, it's a little touch on the ugly side. It's got this kind of perforated finish to it. It's not the best looking heat seal I've ever seen. I think we did mark them down for that. Still better than Staples. I hate Staples. I never liked them when I used to work in an office all day long. because they always used to have trouble getting them off documents, and then if you're not careful, in the case of kits anyway, staples and clear parts, it's like it's like giving a child a hand grenade. It's not a good idea, is it really? Don't mix very well, do they? Look at this though, this is absolutely stellar. Just be aware there's a little piece of sprue there, stabilisation sprue, and it's to help. Again, it's actually an ejector pin stub there to help to minimise the number of ejector pins, and that just wants removing, of course. But look at the beauty of this lower fuselage and lower wing. That's just superb, isn't it? And you got position for your AMRAMs there. That looks like I could be wrong. Is that a vent for the gun? I think it might be part of the gun system. A bit of air venting out the back, and it's angled backwards, so I think it probably is to do with the gun, isn't it? That probably another heat vent because it's got a separate or gas vent, I should say. And then you've got your these are the wing tips. They've sort of avoided the lugs on this. Actually, they've done it quite cleverly, haven't they? And then you've got your little slats which go on the front of them, which are very cool, aren't they? Those. Look at that, slats. And you got your main wing over here with the big slats, which are just in front. Yeah, those are nice, aren't they? Look at the wing here. Detail on that wing. That's impressive. Yeah, we like that. Again, more slats. Where are we? There. That's a really nice sprue. The moulding quality is just sublime, isn't it? So another look at that. Look at that vent I was talking about, which they've done beautifully well, haven't they? Look at that. Absolutely gorgeous. Yes, very impressed indeed. A big old sprue, that one as well. So, pop that one in the bag, and then we've just got one more grey sprue, another big one. And this has got the engines and the intakes on it. This should be quite glamorous, I think. Just bear with me 1 second. Oh, it's been off there with the blade. That's a bit careless. There we go. No, I'm done. Now then. Oh, these are gorgeous. Gorgeous. So you've got, go straight in on the glamour. The money shot. You've got the open, far one is open and the near one is the afterburner closed jet pipes. It's not completely closed, of course. Then you've got your inner engine jet ring. Look at this. That's very cool, isn't it? And then you've got the two versions, or why the two versions? Just a bit confused why there's the two versions. I think it's on either side of this bulkhead, isn't it? I think that's the idea. And then you've got your actual afterburner ring here. And you get your intake compressor blades. Oh, we've got a broken sprue. Why is that then? That's odd. I say broken, it's not very broken, it's just here. It's almost like deliberately in sections, that, isn't it? How odd. And then we've got our J79 engines. And true to form, Zoukei Mura have done an absolute peach of an engine here. Look at that. That's just stunning, isn't it? Complete with internal detail at the back. Where it's visible. And you've got your trunking, intake trunking. Wow. That's amazing, actually. That's a beautiful sprue. And then over here you've got your wheel well frame, the wall frame of the wheel well. You've got your wheels and tyres. That's your nose wheel there in the middle. And yeah, there's quite a lot of oh, there's your actuation system for your nose gear. Wow. And here's your nose gear leg itself. And then you've got your main gear legs over here. Complete with an ejector pin lug that needs to be removed. That is absolutely stellar. I mean, I love the internal detail. I need to zoom in a bit more. Look at the internal detail on these jet pipes. Can you just see that? Look at that. Obviously there's a bit of kind of internal sprue that needs to be removed there. But look at the internal detail, isn't that nice? Yeah. That's beautiful. It really is. And then the other side of the engines here. Absolutely gorgeous. Flawless, isn't it? You're going to have to be on your A game for painting these, of course. Wow, what a lovely sprue that is. A lot of detail. Yeah. Fantastic. Now it just remains for me to look at the clear parts. Oh, keep your fingers crossed. You don't want it to be one of those kits that's going to fall apart on the final hurdle. I think I know what the rating is going to be. It's not quite going to be 10, only because of this confusion about the... I shall qualify it in case I've made a mistake, actually, what we'll do. That way I've got a get out clause. Right, let's have a look at these clear parts then. They're absolutely stunning. Fantastic, look at this. Just check this out. There is a tiny bit of distortion, if I was to be really critical about it. But then again, that's quite typical with these heavily contoured canopies. The distortion is very minimal, in fairness, given how tricky that is to mould in one piece. See a little bit of, perhaps not quite up to Tamiya stroke ICM standard, but it's very close. And on the smaller parts, again, there is a little tiny bit of distortion. I don't think it's the strongest sprue, but it's not anything that would worry me or keep me awake at night or whatever. Interestingly, when you get this, the separate windscreen seems a lot nicer, doesn't it? It doesn't seem to have the same flaw in it that the other one maybe did. So I think that the open canopy looks better, really, as a part, I mean. Turn it around for you. Yeah. Yes. And it's crystal clear. You've got the divider there, the divider window. This is the part that I was telling everybody, joking, and only part joking really. On my Phantom, the original Matchbox Phantom I've got, that I built, it didn't have that in, it was just open. And they must have modified it and realised they made a mistake. I just wonder if it's a rare kit. Perhaps I shouldn't have built it. Need to go and check all those Phantoms, see if there's any, if they're the same. But yeah, that divider window wasn't in. It's just opened to the elements. Not great at Mach 2. Now, I don't want to be in any way negative about this. There's nothing there. That's way better than, well, the Mini Art did, and one or two other people for Airfix have had a couple of clear parts that have not been great, and then a big Spitfire. It's better than that. Just not quite up with ICM and Tamiya, I don't think. Not quite. But there's no centre seam, which I hate having a centre seam. I have to take care of centre seam. Really annoys me. So, yeah, overall, that part is probably a 9.5 out of 10. Whereas most of the sprues are 10 out of 10. And there we have it. There we have it. So, what do I make of it overall? Well, obviously, it's an absolutely beautifully conceived kit with super clear instructions. The only mystery that I had was just about this. It doesn't show in the artwork and in the instructions any weapons, any missiles, and they are in there. It doesn't show any drop tanks either, which I think was a bit odd. When they're, they are available, but which is fine on the artwork. But why they're not mentioned? Why it doesn't show them in the actual instructions? All those sidewinders, I find that a bit strange. I think that the idea is that it's showing it as it was doing its final display year, and they probably weren't carrying ordnance on them, and therefore they've left it off, and it comes from a generic sprue from the other Phantom F-4E. I think that's the rationale. Just causes a little bit of, it's nothing negative on the kit to put you off it in any way. It just causes a slight confusion. So I'm going to give it 9.75 out of 10. And in terms of quality of the moulding, it's 10 out of 10. And I'm being quite picky, We didn't feel that canopy was quite as good, that closed canopy was quite as good as it might have been. But it's a beautiful thing, and to pick that up under 60 quid is absolute no-brainer. I can see why David bought it. So thank you very much to David for loaning us the kit. I give it 9.75 out of 10. I hope you'll give me 10 out of 10 and go the whole 9 yards, as they say. But yeah, it's a really beautiful thing to see and behold. Excellent. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed that. I thought it was interesting. Stay tuned. Until next time, we'll have some more interesting stuff, I'm sure, to show you. Stay well, stay safe. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. Ding the notification bell, because that's the quickest way to make sure you'll get updates as soon as possible. Until the next show, thanks for watching. Take care of yourselves. Thanks a lot, and bye for now.